2, 1. So hi everyone, welcome to the latest episode of the Talking Wheels podcast. It's the Speedway one. It comes out to you every Saturday. I'm your host, Michael Wright, on Twitter at Wright74, and I'll let my co-host Lynn say hi to it for herself.
Hi, I'm Lynn Murray. I'm a Glasgow Tigers fan, but I've been following Speedway now for nearly 60 years.
So a mere whippersnapper.
Yeah.
Okay. And we've got, a really interesting guest. I've been really looking forward actually to speaking to and hearing from this guest, because we often talk about the state of the sport, and certainly our first episode that went out in March was Roddy McDougall, who wrote a book on this, No Breaks, particularly about the state of British Speedway. But actually, I think we've got a lot to learn from different countries and how they run their Speedway, and probably some common issues. So today, it's a big welcome to Joachim Nielsen, who is on the board for the Danish Speedway League.
Thank you very much.
So great to see you, Joachim. I wonder, just to almost give you the floor, really, and perhaps just tell us a little bit about yourself, how you've come to the role, what the role is, a bit about you.
Yeah, let me try to do it short. I used to, when I was much younger, I used to be a speedway rider in Brobst, which is the club where Hans Nielsen started riding. We have the same surname, but as far as I know, we are not in family, but we are from the countryside. So and you never know what happened in the background. Then, I rode in the Danish league with Hans, and obviously it was really nice to have him as a captain, because he always did 15 points maximum. So other poor riders than I could do 0 or 1 or 2, and it was still we would still win the matches. Later on, I studied economy and marketing in the university, and got a little bit away from Speedway. Moved from the countryside where Hans and I are from, and to the Copenhagen area, the capital area of Denmark, and then a little bit got involved with Speedway again, and now I ended up in the Speedway League sport, where we are trying to actually, our objective is to make it the second biggest crowd sport in Denmark after football. But to be honest, there's a lot of work that we need to do. But we are on it, and we are kind of optimistic most of the days.
Yes, I know what you mean. It's definitely the poor relation. When I first started going to Speedway, it was at the big stadiums like Hampden, and down in London they did Speedway at Wembley, which is where I saw Ole Olsen, and you were 10,000-20,000 easy, and it was sometimes you had to make sure to get your ticket early or you couldn't get in. And it's not like that now. And in my days growing up, the Danish Speedway stars were the ones you wanted to see. And I think Glasgow keeps that up. We tend to have a Dane in our team all the time.
Yeah.
The last few, we've got Ben Basso and Ulrich Ostergaard just now.
Yeah.
And we've had Sam Jensen and Rasmus Jensen, and so on. So, we've had quite a few. But no, I used to like watching the Danes race, and I took a break like yourself. Life got in the way. Work, children, things like that, and you just think, okay. And I came back to it, and I'm going, where's the Danes? What happened to them? Why are they not riding so well? Of course, Nicky's. Actually, I think Nicky Pedersen's quite a good advert for the sport. He's definitely value for money. Yeah. He's a lovely man. I have met him. When you do meet him, he's lovely. He's nice. And he's calm. He puts that helmet on, and he's a different person. There's the work.
But I think to answer your question, where are the Danes? The answer is they are in Poland. Most of them, that's where the big speedway business moved to. That's in Poland now, and of course we both in Britain and Denmark and Sweden too. We need to understand what they do right and what we do wrong, because they are on track of something that we are not even close right now, and we need to learn from that, obviously.
So where I was just going to ask really, Joachim, whereabouts is Speedway at the moment? You'd like it to be the second sport behind football. What else is in the way at the moment? I mean, is it tennis? What other sports are up there?
What's our biggest problem is knowledge. We have collected some data, and we know now that only 5% of the Danish population they know that we are running a league, which means it's not a surprise, but 95% they have no idea that we are running a speedway league. Despite that, we do have like an average of more or less 1,000 spectators for each race. So you could say that the potential should be 20,000 per match. That will not happen, but at least we should double it or triple it. So of course the new board we have, which is 1 year since we were gathered, of course we need to do a lot to make the sport much more commonly known again. That's our biggest and first objective, is to make people know that we actually are there and we are racing, and that you have riders like Anders Thomsen, Mikkel Mikkelsen, Leon Madsen, Nicky Petersen. Some of them, they are top 10 riders. They are racing in the Danish league, but if people don't know that, why should they come and watch?
Yeah, I think a lot of it is to do with the marketing side of things. I've kind of fallen into that quite by accident. I'm not quite sure how I got where I am now, but the marketing is definitely lacking. In the UK, there's only 2 clubs, Berwick and Poole, that advertise routinely in the town where Speedway runs. You go to Glasgow, and although Glasgow Tigers is a massive club and we do have reasonable crowds, you go outside the little area of Glasgow that it's in, and they haven't a clue. And my office, I could see the track from my office. And when I first went into that office, and I'm going, oh right, so you all go to Speedway, and they're all looking at me going, what? You know that over there, the bit with the noisy motor. And I'm going, seriously? And I've spent a lot of time trying to get more interest. I actually just took my car and I drove from Gretna on the border all the way up Scotland to Glasgow, and I branched off all the different motorways, went into every service station, every cheap hotel, and delivered brochures about Glasgow Speedway. Just to raise the profile.
Yeah, we need to be much more sharp in advertising and make sure that they know we are racing. But that it is a huge problem, and of course it's about cost benefit too. You know, how much do we need to be much better at social media, and that's some of the areas where we are trying to put our efforts into system and make sure that we do the right things in the right time.
Yeah. Yes, it's. I mean, I'm going to an event on Saturday at a local industrial museum, and it's all about Speedway.
Nice.
You know,
nice.
So it's, and again, I've just been round in my local town, and they're going, "Oh, you're the girl that's been putting up the posters about the Speedway." What's Speedway?
Yeah. So that's another good question, because one of our new external members of the Danish League Sports, a guy called Henrik, he has been running Copenhagen's best advertising agency for 25 years, and we asked him to write like a manifest. We asked him a question: what is Speedway, by the way? And we had a huge discussion, and it was really kind of unclear to us. I mean, even to us, what is it? You know, even in these years where you cannot say the N-word anymore, and all of us have to, which is nice, be tolerant to LGBT plus people and all that. You know, we are in changing times, and we have to define what is Speedway, what is our unique position in this big area of entertainment which we're in. And then Henrik came up with this conclusion that you could say you have this impression called curling moms and curling dads, you know, who are just being super overprotective to their kids. So what we have decided for the Danish League is to claim that the world might have turned overprotective, but we are not overprotective. This is super dangerous. This is tough. This is hardcore action. People will crash. If you don't like that, stay away. If you like it, if you believe your normal everyday job in the bank is boring, then come and see it, because we promise you it will get your adrenaline flowing. So we have kind of worked on to be much more clear about what is the essence of Speedway. You know, what is it? And just to have that manifest, and to make sure when we communicate, we always ask ourselves, is this hardcore? Does this portrait the solo speedman? And if it isn't hardcore, if it doesn't have any edge, it's not a good poster, it's not a good advertisement. And then we have to reinvent it. So that's that was one of the first things we do, not only to advertise, but also to make sure, what do we advertise? What's our kind of tone of voice? And that is decided that it should be hardcore. Yeah. This is not for sissies, so to speak.
It is definitely one of the last dangerous sports that there is out there.
Yeah.
I mean, you can exclude like MMA fighting, but you know, a lot of that is theatre rather than actual fighting. Yeah. The road racing, they've got so much safety now, and the Formula One racing, there's so much safety, and it's, I don't know, maybe it's just to my mind, you go to a Grand Prix for a car, and you see this car going zoom.
Exactly.
Then 2 minutes later it goes zoom.
Yeah.
And you're like, okay, fair enough. But you go to Speedway and you've got 4 bikes all trying to aim for, in a lot of cases, the same spot on the track.
Yeah.
They have no brakes.
No.
They crash fairly frequently.
They do.
On the plus side, most Speedway riders bounce, or they learn how to bounce. And they're definitely a breed apart. It is one of the last actually dangerous sports out there that people can literally go and watch live.
True.
Joachim, I'm just thinking about, you know, your role in trying to get things going in Denmark, and you haven't mentioned much yet about your other interests, and obviously you've got the film, TV directing, that side of things, and making films. I guess that plus your experience of racing Speedway, are those the main things you're bringing to it in Denmark in terms of trying to think about the professional image and how you lead some of that work?
Yeah, it is, and basically that we because I have this business university background, so what we actually do is to try how can we develop the business of Speedway more systematically. And what we have done is we have hired a sales company in Copenhagen, and we have developed a lot of small packages for companies. You know, they get some merchandise, they get some beers, they get some food, and they get a cap, they get some stickers for their kids. And then we sell packages of even, you know, 20, 50, 100, 500 tickets. And so they can go with their colleagues, you know, many of them, they don't know the league is existing, but then on a Wednesday night, they go with their colleagues and have a nice evening, watch some race, and even the company often pays for it. And that's kind of rather successful selling these packages. Of course, it's a really big job, because our target group, we try to aim for more like what we call it technical companies, you know, car repair shops and networks, you know, car painters, metal drilling, you know, stuff like that, and those who might have some kind of technical interest. But what we realize, if we go to coffee shops and restaurants, they say, Speedway, wow, that I thought it ended many years ago. It sounds cool. Yeah, we would love to come. So we are kind of systematically selling this as an entertainment product. It takes a lot of effort, but it looks promising. Of course, we have also we took one thing we took external was the sponsorship deals. Again, people who want to promote themselves in this area. Right now, we are negotiating with the Danish defense, because they are in dire straits. They need the plane mechanics, fighter plane mechanics, and they kind of realized, well, this is your target group, is our target group. We should do something together. So to kind of find out who do we match, where do we have some common interest, and that's kind of the two things we outsource. That is selling these entertainment Speedway packages, and then the sponsorships. And it looks promising, but it will take. We have to look at it in like 3 years perspective.
We've had a number of chats, you know, not apologetically, but we obviously focus on the British Speedway setup, and
Yes.
and a lot of what I think we've been talking about on here is about the people who run the sport in this country. So almost in a similar way to how you're looking at it in Denmark, I guess. And it seems that the promoters kind of union or association, the BSPL, seems to be quite powerful in this country. And some of the criticism there is that it's made up from people who are running the clubs. So there's a business interest for them, not necessarily about the vision of the sport across the whole country. Could you just tell us a bit more about how it works with the teams in Denmark, with the clubs and the ownership, and how that links to the league?
It's a good question, because before we had this professional board, then we had there are 8 league clubs in Denmark. They have 8 CEOs, and the 8 CEOs they appointed one of the CEOs to be kind of chairman. So the chairman was also the owner of a club, and they did really good, I must say, for many years. But of course, it was a bit confusing sometimes, who's taking care of whose interest. So what we have done now is we have formed a board of 7 persons. So 2 is from the 8 direct CEOs from the clubs, and then we have 2 for Denmark's Motor Union, which is kind of they were running all motorsports in Denmark. And then we have 3 external, where I'm one of them, and it was the 3 external. The demand for us was that we should have like a proven success in developing business and communication. And why these numbers are interesting is that the 2 directors, they can never make a majority. The 2 from Denmark's Motor Union, they can never create a majority, and us, the 3 externals, we cannot create a majority either. So we kind of have to develop this together. So you cannot just run away with some crazy idea. And so far we've been there for 1 year, and it looks good. And I really feel that the 2 other external persons in our board, they gave us like a lot of inspiration from the outside. One, as I said, is he's running a very successful advertising agency. The other was a communication manager in a huge gambling brand. Now he's a special advisor in the government, so he knows a lot about tips and tricks. And myself, I have like a strategy, business, and film background, which is also useful. So this about getting some fresh external ideas into it is in my opinion super important, because we cannot. I mean, if you want a better tomorrow, you cannot use the tricks you used yesterday. It should be pretty obvious, but it isn't.
Yeah, it's ringing so many bells, because obviously in the UK we've got like the BSPL, but they seem to concentrate on, if we tweak this rule or if we tweak that rule, it'll make it better. They're not concentrating on Speedway as a product.
No, it's an entertainment product.
It is a product. It's an entertainment package. The entertainment package depends on the riders. And I know you're saying you shouldn't go backwards, but when I first started going to Speedway, most riders had an agent or manager.
Yes, true.
Kind of looked after their interests.
True.
But these days, the riders are doing it for themselves. And some of them just don't know what to do. They sit by the phone and say, somebody will phone me because I'm good. And you're going, well, who's going to phone you? Who knows you? Who knows you're there? And I think that's a big thing. The riders themselves need to get organised, need to become more professional.
Yeah.
And some are doing it better than others. Some have their own social media presence, but it's a bit hit and miss. And it could do with being unified a bit more, a little bit like a riders' union, I suppose. But would that take away from it? I don't know. Isle of Wight, we were talking to someone in the Isle of Wight yesterday, which is an island off the south coast of England, if I've got my geography right. And they are a holiday destination. So what they do is they put on spectaculars. They have a standard Speedway meeting, and in between the senior races, they have junior races.
Mm-hmm.
So they'll maybe have like 4 or 5 heats of the seniors, 2 or 3 of the juniors, another 4 or 5 of the seniors, and then riders that aren't riding professionally anymore but have a big name and are entertaining, and they come out, and while the tractors are going round, they might put something on the centre green just to make it just one big party. You know, rather than here you go, 15 races, or 14 in the case of Denmark, 15 races, off you go, bye. You know, they're starting to put together an entertainment package, and because they're running that way, they can't be part of the British League system.
Ah, okay, interesting.
Which is a bit strange, but it might be an idea to try to rather than get them to change so they can join the British League, because what they're doing is working really well, and they've only been back doing it since 2016, and of course they've had almost 2 years out like the rest of the world.
Yeah, but that again, if we look at it as an entertainment product, we should not ban clubs or managers who develop it as an entertainment product. We should give them a medal, basically, right?
Well, I think what happened there is that they pulled out voluntarily because of rule changes. So they pulled out because of the almost the third tier of racing, the National League. They didn't agree with the points limit. The points limit was going to cause them problems, I think, as a club to be able to be competitive. And I think they made their own decision to break away. But they now seem to have freedom to be really innovative about who goes on the track, how they do it, how the format for the meetings goes. They've got free reign, whereas there's obviously quite a few restrictions for the so-called professional clubs in this country. So they're quite interesting to talk to, really. Barry Bishop.
That's definitely something we need. I mean, everyone who go. I tend to where I live now. The closest club is Slangerup, which is the biggest only league club. It's half an hour from Copenhagen, and I always try to bring like a new businessman friend out there for each race. And it is, you know, even if you just have those 15 races, 15 heats, people they tend to like it, but. One thing I hear all the time is that when they're grading the track and they're just saying, listen, do you want me to look at this tractor for 10 minutes again? And then we have three heats and more, and then you say, now there the tractor goes again. I mean, and this has been kind of a struggle, in my opinion. We've been ahead for like, what is it, 60, 70 years, you know. We need, for instance, those guys you mentioned, we need to develop, for instance, some entertainment in the breaks, you know. Instead of watching a tractor go in circles, we need to come up with something.
That's right. I mean, in Glasgow, they have a kids' race after the during the Heat 10 grading, which is great because there are enough kids go to Glasgow that they're 3 deep right across the width of a football pitch. Nice. That's how many kids are there.
Nice.
And they run the length of the football pitch. Yeah. But they also used to have the girls that hold up the cards, and when the tractors were going round, they did dance routines on the centre green. Unfortunately, the girls that we had have all finished their university courses and have gone on geographical different places.
That's how it goes.
That's how it goes. But the club's going right, and they make an announcement every week on the tannoy if anyone would like to volunteer. And I'm going, excuse me, but why aren't you going to the dance schools, the local dance schools, the local theatre schools, the people that just want the exposure, you know? And they're going, oh, well, you know, we want something professional. Excuse me, you know, that's people that want to make that their living. And there's no reason. Glasgow owns that whole stadium. They can do whatever they like. On there, and I don't see why they don't. Other stadiums might have limits. You don't have to pay them 9 times out of 10. You know, provide them with some kind of uniform, and they'll go out there and dance their hearts out. You know,
we need to make sure that we are aware of that we are like a more or less hardcore entertainment product, and we have to build on that. And another thing is, I don't know, I only went to see racing in Britain once, which was in Coventry at Hans's testimonial, by the way.
Yeah.
But to me, it feels the same, that it's a really straightforward sport. People are super nice and polite. It's not snobbish at all. It's not golf. It's not tennis. It's not VIP. And instead of trying to change Speedway into something fancy, I think we should be super brave and proud about that. This is kind of the most hardcore, straightforward sport on planet Earth, which I really like about it. You know, that everyone talks to everyone. There's no such thing as hooliganism or stupid idiots like that. You know, people are straightforward, but still they are behaving really nice. And that's kind of that's also unique for Speedway. So we do have a lot. We just need to make it much more well known and stick to our core values, of course.
It seems to be a lot about the media as well, doesn't it? You know, I think there was an age where there was more of the mainstream media were interested in Speedway in this country, and I don't know whether, from your point, Joachim, you know, in Denmark, I started going in 1990. It seemed like a golden age for Danish Speedway. You kind of had the end of it.
Even the 80s, right, where we have six titles.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I think the media follows when you have world champions. I'm sure that Ty Woofenden helped the media coverage in UK too.
No,
not too much. Okay.
No, the only time Ty Woofenden appeared on mainstream media was after his third world title, and he got 10 minutes on breakfast telly and half an hour on the radio over 2 days. That was it.
But let me give you an example, because we had a discussion with the Danish Motor Union, because you know, the Dane Leon Madsen, I think 3 years ago he was running for the title, and I know Leon a little bit, and we discussed whether we should do a test. So we tried 5 GPs in a row. We tried to feed the media. So before each race, each GP, and after each race, we wrote like a small press release telling that now he's 2 points ahead of Bartosz Smartstick, and those two are running for the title. And after the race in the night, we just texted briefly, and we just made an angle and made a quote from Leon. And the first 2 releases we sent out, nothing happened. But then when we released the 3rd, 4th, and the 5th, all the media they started to write about it. And then I suggested to the Danish Motor Union, I said, let's now we know that this works. Let's make sure that we have a press person who can do these releases, because it will give us media time. But it was they discussed it, and it was decided they wouldn't invest in that, because, as they said, we should not do the work of the media's journalist, and which is in a way true. But on the other hand, if we don't do it, they don't do it. So do we want the airtime, or don't we want the airtime? Yeah. So it was decided not to do it, which in my opinion was a wrong decision, because you can kind of easily hire a journalist who can do these small, quick press releases and things like that. I mean, my dad is a journalist, so I happen to know that some journalists, they are a little bit lazy. We needed to benefit from that and conclude that if we do their work, they will just copy paste it and put it on the media. So if that's how it works, let's work from there.
Yeah, it's so true. I mean, I got contacted by a journalist that put together an article potentially for GQ magazine. It's a
I know it. Yeah.
Yeah. So their readership is mainly young men, pots of money, looking for the next adrenaline fix.
Yeah, and if they can come across a nude young woman, they are into that too, as far as I remember the magazine, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
But equally, in the UK at least, we've got a new crop of youngsters. They're all like between 19 and 22, fairly good-looking young men, and I must admit that's attracting a female following all around the UK, marketing it a bit like a boy band. But the mainstream media, there's a big rivalry between Glasgow and Edinburgh in Scotland. Doesn't matter if it's football, speedway, anything.
But of course, that's how it should be.
That's how it should be. And we had a weekend where we were going to Edinburgh on Monday, and the next day we're back at Glasgow. And some of the riders got interviewed for a segment on the news, and they dropped it. They didn't use it.
Why? Why is that?
They just said that, oh well, there was something else came up, and I watched the entire sports. It was a half-hour sports program, and I'm thinking, hang on, you've got a half-hour program here. We're asking to slot in a 5-minute segment, and there was no live sports being advertised that night at all. And
that's just sad, isn't it?
You know, some of the print media is starting to pick up on it. There have been articles in the national press, in 3 national papers this week.
Okay.
And it's been full pages.
That's nice. That's nice.
But they're one-off articles. Really, what we need is a series where someone is keeping up. The Daily Mail, is it the Daily Mail or the Daily Mirror? They used to sponsor the World Championship.
I know, I remember that, yeah.
When they had that big wheel with the wings.
Exactly, yeah.
That's a proper trophy.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Proper trophy. And because they were sponsoring it, the Speedway results were in all the papers, and often you could leave a track in the evening, and as long as you waited about an hour or so, you could get it in the newspaper. If you were Glasgow City Centre, for example, so you could get them that evening and get the results from round the tracks, and that's what's lacking. Nobody knows that this is quite an intensely fought competition. You know, and it's the same in Denmark, it's the same in Sweden.
Same, yeah.
In Poland, in every town that's got a speedway track, if you walk down their main street, every second lamppost has a banner on it.
Yeah.
Advertising the next match.
Yeah, and you have the big, the big gasoline brand. I think it's called Orlen or something. They are main sponsor of Smart Slick. So you cannot pass a gas station in Poland without seeing a picture of Smart Slick on a motorbike. Of course, it's even better than mass media, right? And you have the people who are willing to drive in their car to get somewhere. You know, it's much more effective than being in, let's say, in Warsaw, where people they go with the subway. You know, so you are hitting exactly the right people. But that again, we need to. There's simply not enough people who knows that we are running leagues in Britain, in Sweden, and in Denmark. We need to work on that.
We need to work on it. There are some buses running around Scotland and Yorkshire.
Yeah.
With pictures, photographs of speedway riders on the backs of the buses.
Yeah, that's nice.
And it's got them on the speedway bike in their name.
Yeah, nice. Yeah, yeah. And again, we need to. I mean, it's same here. You know, then one club has a few nice activities. Then next year another club has a few. We need to put it in systems so that we just keep on deliver week after week after week after week. Again, with the press releases, I said we need to be present in the media all the time. Like here we have it with football, obviously, but with ice hockey and with handball, which are the 2 sports we need to beat. You know, we need to beat their crowds, but we need to deliver to the media, to social media all the time, in order to get there.
Yeah, I mean, I've been watching a few of your films and that, they're quite diverse, to say the least. But you've got a lot of other interests kind of besides speedway. Architecture.
I like architecture a lot.
What do you like about that? Do you like the historical architecture, or just something that looks?
It's this, for me it's the aesthetics. I mean, that you can make things that are as, I mean, extremely beautiful, which is not created by God, but by an architect. And actually we do have a that's another thing we could just come across. The stadiums in Denmark, they are pretty, the speedway stadiums, they are pretty run down. So we do have a project where we try to see how can we make the future speedway stadiums, and what we have realized is that the cities around, they do not fund, if you're only one club, we are one club, we want to run Speedway. They said, no, it doesn't do it for us. So what we have done in this club is that we have gathered 15 different clubs. Some are shootings, some are flying drones, other are training dogs, some are playing darts, mountain bikers, yoga practicing, and we have some are fans of music. They want to make a big concert. So we have gathered all these clubs and interests, and we are now trying to create, how should this stadium look like that could be the home of all these interests, including a speedway track. And what the architects has come up with is a stadium project called the Green Colosseum. So instead of glass and steel, you create everything in soil. Right now in Denmark, we are building a lot of highways and new hospitals. So there's a lot of soil that they need to get rid of. So you get money for receiving this soil. And with this soil, we do with soil, and we do like a amphitheater.
Yes.
And with new techniques, you can do it so that you have the soil, and then you put some special bamboo net in it, and then you put grass on it. And then it kind of grows together, and it gets super stable, and it can even, when the rain is heavy, it can drain from that. And we have some support for some foundations in Denmark, and they believe it's fairly interesting. So that's kind of a test project. If we can use this thing of gathering 12, 15, 20 clubs and make a common home for that, which is also, of course, an excuse for creating a beautiful speedway stadium, where you hopefully in the future can make a Grand Prix or whatever. If you look at modern stadiums, they look more or less like a bunker. It could be something from the Second World War. It's not very friendly, and it's far too expensive to build it, and it's not beautiful. So that again, we have to be innovative and see how could the future of speedway multi-stadiums look like too. Since you asked for about architecture, sorry for such a long answer, but
no, that's that's fine, because I personally, I think that we could come into it too, because although the Eurosport and Premier Sports, some channels are showing speedway in the UK, and let's take for example just last night in Denmark, and I'm sure it was the camera angles, but you could count the spectators.
And
you didn't need to take your shoes and socks off, but I'm quite sure there was others tucked away from the camera, and it looked not as professional as it could have done.
No. But that's a big issue, because we had until this year we had like an agreement with the Danish TV2, which is like BBC2 or whatever, right? It's a broadcaster, and this last year they broadcasted, I think, one semi-final and the final, and they paid the league close to nothing. And we negotiated with them, and they said, listen, how much do you want to broadcast this year, and what would you pay? And they say, not a lot, and we cannot pay you a lot either. So what we decided is that, okay, if they don't want to marry us, we would not continually propose to them. So we engaged with the Spring Media in Stockholm in Sweden, and they now we are live streaming from all 4 matches every week, and we are selling our stream now to Britain, to Ireland, there's just a deal coming up about Poland, of course, to Danish viewers too. Of course, if they had given us like a super offer we could not reject, we would have done that, but they didn't. So that's why we went to this solution with Spring Media, and we are kind of owning our own content. What is good is that now we have clips from all matches. Is that now we can do highlights. We can do small commercials, so we can deliver the social media now, because now we own the content, we own our races. Before TV2, the broadcasters had the rights to our clips. So that's more or less in itself, it's a good reason for doing this. But of course, we have to work on the production and improve it. But It's a learning
No,
process too.
the production's not bad. It's just that the stadiums themselves didn't look that great, and that could put people off.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. But of course, it would be nice with closer shots, and I mean, the closer you are to someone who passes very very rapidly, the more dangerous it will look. Of course, we are working on that. But that's again that's another thing that we have. That's a new thing us that we kind of own the media and the streaming ourselves. It's new, and I'm sure it will move in that direction. Actually. The biggest newspaper in the area where we have 4 clubs, 5 clubs actually in Denmark, in kind of southwest of Denmark. The newspaper they bought the right to transmit these matches. So every week they have a match of the week, and they stream it on their newspaper's website, which is super popular too. So instead of being kind of locked to, let's say, what with us equals BBC2. Yeah. Now we can negotiate with all kind of newspapers, and we can sell it to around the world. So we are kind of, in a way, taking back control. And of course, we are trying to benefit the clubs to make profit on it in a long-term perspective. But I think it's the right thing to do. But and again, we didn't have like a bright alternative, because Danish TV2 they weren't too eager to make business with us, so we had to do something else.
It sounds, doesn't it, like one of the keys is how you get new people in, because almost once you become a Speedway fan, you put up with the stadia, you put up with the fact that it's not as good as it could be, because you think, well, I like the racing and I know I can identify with the whole thing around it, and it's exciting. And I remember being 15 and being just gobsmacked that I could walk around the back of the track, the pits, and I could meet the riders at the end and just say hi and get a picture with them. I still can't believe how easy the access was to do that. And Glasgow did a great job. I mean, the In the Red documentary, the documentary film that they did, I think was excellent, because again, you got a real feel about what goes into running a Speedway track. And even if you're not into Speedway, there were some really human stories in that. But it seems though that, and maybe this is the bit you mentioned earlier, Joachim, about the social media. People aren't going to invest in the time to sit and watch something for an hour or so unless they've already got an interest, perhaps. But if you pique that interest on social media with clips, with TikTok, with all of the different, it lends itself to be really exciting, doesn't it? With the action.
Exactly, and that's why, at least our decision, our analysis was, we need to get closer to our own material. We need to own it, because then we can spread it on social media, of course. But it is what you say. What is dragging us to Speedway? It's a really good question, because actually we are working on a TV series right now. We have been working on it for a year, and we are negotiating with HBO and Netflix and Viaplay and see who should our partner be, and it's more like a dramatic question, but it is what is it that attracts people to Speedway? What is it about? And our kind of analysis is that it is kind of, I don't know if you know the movie called Fight Club, but it's about these people. They work, in insurance companies and in banks, and it's not enough for them. They need more. And I think that's what all us who like Speedway, what we have in common, I mean, a golf match, it wouldn't do it for us. A football match, it's not enough. No. We need something more, and we need to emphasize that again. But that's back to our manifesto. The world has become overprotective. If you are overprotective and want to stay overprotective, fine, we're good. It's good for us. But you should not go to Speedway. If you want something more hardcore, we are there for you, right?
Yeah, they're definitely missing a lot of tricks. How do you feel about the temporary tracks? How the Olsens lay down temporary tracks in different places. For example, at Cardiff, they put down the temporary track in Cardiff for the Grand Prix.
I mean, the racing is more poor. I mean, it is a bit more poor for sure. But I must say that actually I discussed it with Ty Woofenden, because he's taking part in our drama series too. He said the atmosphere. I never went to Cardiff. I'm so sorry. I need to go somewhere before I die. Well, one day before I die, for sure. But Woofenden told me that the atmosphere you can create in Cardiff, it's so breathtaking that it's not a big deal with the racing, because what you get, I mean, if you just can accept a little bit more poor racing, then you get this amazing atmosphere.
Yes.
Which is fair. I mean, the same in Warsaw, you know, it was a great, I mean, the stadium was more or less packed. We used to have it in the National Stadium Parken in Copenhagen too.
Yeah.
25,000 spectators in the middle of Copenhagen, which is not a speedway city, of course. So I'm pro temporary tracks. I know that the racing will be a little bit poorer, but wow, what a show it is, don't you think?
It's terrific. I'm going again this year.
Yeah.
My first time going Moan, but it's an all-weather track because they can close the roof over, so it doesn't matter rain or shine.
Which is super nice.
I'm quite sure the technology is out there that as long as you've got a basic structure round a track, a bit like the old-fashioned circus tents.
Yeah, sure.
You know, why not do something like that?
Could be.
You know, if you enclose it, you actually ramp up the atmosphere.
Yeah.
That's why these big time.
That's why these arena can. But you see, in Copenhagen, if you are in the national stadium, you know, you can land in the airport in Copenhagen. Then you can jump on a metro, right, on the subway. And then 15 minutes later, you're at the stadium. I mean, the logistics, if you stay in the big stadium, is just perfect. Same in Warsaw. I believe the same in Cardiff, right? So there's something really nice that in Cardiff or Warsaw or Copenhagen, you just have 30, 40, 50,000 insane speedway fans who are turning the whole city upside down. I really like the idea, I must say.
Yes, it is, because the centre of Cardiff, you just couldn't move for speedway fans.
That's perfect. It's perfect. At least in Warsaw and Cardiff, and we must admit it has been a huge success. I mean, it's coming. Of course, I would love to see Wembley back. You know, I think we could both do Wembley and Cardiff, in my opinion. But that's maybe just a
I mean, they missed a trick when they were building the new Wembley track. I mean, why not? Because London used to have several speedway tracks, and now they've got none. And it really is a crying shame. And you've got football stadiums now that are in mothballs till the winter again. Come on.
Yeah, but I believe during our drama series we met the people from Discovery too, the boss, what's he called, Francois, and I met the crew in Gossov, and I strongly feel that they have many nice ideas. They really want to develop the sport. Of course, that's on a Grand Prix basis, but they have so many nice ideas, and I think what they did already with the Grand Prix, they have improved it a lot. With the signs and smoke and neon and everything, so there are many good things happening too, and they really want to as they claim, take this into a new era, and I really hope they can succeed that.
Yes, because they've also got the SGP 2 for the under 21s. It's now on a professional level, and it can be seen that way. They're bringing back the world finals. And in the UK, we are struggling, but we are getting there because we've got a test match, Great Britain versus the rest of the world, in July in Glasgow. We've got the GP qualifier in Glasgow as well.
Yeah, I know.
GP versus Poland last year.
You have Robert Lambert, you have Dan Bewley. I mean, things are happening. I mean, where did Dan Bewley come from? You know, he just
Glasgow.
But it's amazing, right?
He rode for Glasgow when he was riding for the Bellevue Colts as well. They're in different leagues. And Glasgow seems to be a training ground because Anders Thompson. Still technically a Glasgow asset. But
look at Bewley. You know, he got a wild card, and people were in this. Can he handle the GP pressure? And apparently he can handle it easily. He's a very talented guy, you know.
He just said, "Well, I've got nothing to lose. I wasn't expecting to be here. I'll just go out and ride my bike."
You hit on a good point, though. Well, both of you really. You're hitting on an important point now, aren't you? Because there's the bit around how you attract new fans, and in a way, we might get lost in the conversation about the quality of riders in our domestic leagues, but actually, if you're a new fan, unless you've heard about them on the media or you've seen them on the GP, you don't really know who they are. But you know, I mean, in this country, I don't remember this before, Lynn, but we've now got the sticker albums. Curtis Printing, I think they started doing sticker albums. I don't remember that before, which has been for years with kids with football.
Yeah, you're too young to remember.
Oh, okay, so that was there before. Okay, so that's come back. So we could learn from the past. But there is that thing, isn't there? You know, so the quality in this country is greatly affected. You just mentioned Bewley, Robert Lambert, two riders who are not racing in this country. They're from England because of the Polish issues. And I know that's being talked about now, about how maybe Denmark, Sweden, Britain gets to have more of those riders again, some of the better riders, to have that star quality and raise the standard of the domestic leagues.
We need to market them like a boy band. Honestly, we need to market the personalities, because, you know, a lot of people follow football, they follow a particular team. But how many people actually follow a footballer, regardless of where they go? Thousands, absolutely thousands. And it's the footballer's personality, and they follow that person. And we need to try and get the personalities in Speedway better known outside Speedway.
I think that's a good point. We had discussed it too, that we have to develop on their personalities. That's what like rock star, tennis stars, football. I mean, you know Messi and Ronaldo, you hardly remember where they play, but you know them for sure.
That's right. Yeah. I mean, I follow sport in general, and I get mixed up about who plays for what team, but I know who they are.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's
on a much kind of, you said, much more simple level. We are trying also to see how can we target very, very special target groups which could be interesting for us. It's very far away from market them as a boy band. But let me give you just two examples on how of what we hope can be kind of effective marketing. For instance, in Denmark, we have almost 6 million people, but we have like a union of people riding motorbikes in the streets, and they are 40,000. So it's roughly 1% of the population. They ride motorbikes.
Yes.
Them, I mean, we have like common interest with them. We find joy in riding on two wheels. And we got in touch with them and said, listen, do you know about that we have the Speedway League running, and you like to go on a trip? And they said, no, we didn't know. Well, where is it? You know, it's all over the country. And we said, listen, if you want to market us, the league and our dates and our racing venues in your app, in your Facebook site, in your website, then listen, then we will offer you, all of your members, like a 25% discount on the entrance fee. And he said, happily. I mean, the more I can do for my members, the more popular I am, and I can stay as the chairman. So why not? So now we did that small agreement. I mean, it's a small thing, you know, but that's another 40,000 who now know that we are racing. Another example is, I don't know if you have it in Britain, but if you go to a supermarket, there you have some kind of displays where you can buy some experience boxes. You can go to the spa, or you can go to some cafe and have brunch or whatever, you know. You can fly a balloon, or you can jump in a special trampoline. And this company in Denmark, it's called Go Dream, and we got in touch with them and said, we see you have a part of you which is called action experiences. Why don't you sell our package that 2 or 4 people could go and watch Speedway live and see the acceleration, which is even faster than from? And he said, listen, we would love to include that in our packages, but we didn't know that you had a league running. So now we have that appointment too. So we are definitely trying to see if we can make, you know, with the years, hopefully, you know, 50, 100 small deals where now we catch those 40,000 people. Now we catch those 50,000, because we will never get the money, at least in the near future, to make like a huge national campaign. But we can be super precise with our target groups and present what we have to offer. And if we hit another 40,000 each week, then at some point we will have a knowledge of 95% instead of having 95% who do not know that we are there. So that's definitely our focus.
It's very true, and it's not always the big money advertising campaigns that get it. I mean, that's effectively what I did. I went to the local children's attractions, the fun fairs and things like that. And I know for a fact that because we advertised it as a family day out, I know for a fact we got more people in at Glasgow. I've only been given the advertising material for Glasgow. I work full time, but I travel to virtually all the stadiums in the UK. I'm in Scunthorpe tomorrow. I'm going down to Oxford. I'm going to Birmingham. I'm going to Cardiff. I'm going to Bellevue again. I'm going to Redcar, Newcastle. And although I asked them, the clubs, for publicity material, we've got people that do that. Okay, well, you're not doing it very well.
But you're doing it.
So it's, and you're right. I mean, I can't ride my two wheels anymore. I'm disabled, and my legs don't work properly. So I have to do it in a car. But it was the bikers groups. I went to MAG, the Motorcycle Action Group, which does have a branch in Denmark as well.
Okay.
And I can't remember what they're called. It is a Danish version of Motorcycle Action Group. And they're taken everywhere they go.
Yeah.
It's the little things and getting people talking about it.
And we have so many soulmates around. We just need to reach out. I mean, it doesn't even the motorcycle thing. It doesn't cost us anything. Of course, it cost us a 25% discount. But I mean, if we didn't get in touch with them, they wouldn't come anyway. So we have gained 75% instead of losing 25%, right?
Yes. Yeah. So it's definitely. I mean, I know that Glasgow and some of the other clubs have been saying, no, we're not giving them a discount. And I'm saying, well, in that case, at least advertise what you give out free, which is children to go in free.
Yeah. But listen, if you're a newspaper and you want new readers, then you to get them in, first fix is free. You offer them a discount too, and we just have to realize that we cannot, if we want to improve what we're doing, we cannot do tomorrow what we did yesterday and then expect that everything will change. It's insane.
Yeah, sorry. No, carry on, Joachim.
No, just you mentioned Oxford, and to me it was kind of like a symbolic turning point that those brave, hardworking people there, they kind of got the Oxford Stadium up and running again. I was really impressed. Yes. You saw them too. I'm sure those pictures, when the state of the stadium just got worse and worse and worse. And then suddenly, out of the blue, they are racing there again. To me, it was really nice to see that.
So it's like it's Steve Lawson is also doing that with Workington Stadium.
Okay, that's another one. Okay, cool.
And he's literally doing it himself,
like a one-man army.
Well, he's got a farm. They've got a family farm. And Tim and a couple of the workers and other ex-Speedway riders. They're literally going out there with the spades, the diggers, the tractors, and they have built the track.
Amazing.
And they're just waiting they've got licensing for next year, but they're hoping that they can get approval to do one-off events for this year. The bureaucracy can be a bit strange, but it's amazing what you can do with a little.
It is, yeah.
And I think some people are looking at the picture too broadly. They're going, it would take hundreds of thousands of pounds or millions of pounds to fix this. Okay.
No, with will and creativity, you can do a lot. Michael, I'm afraid I interrupted you before. What you?
Oh no, it's okay. No, I was just reflecting as you were talking, really, and what I found interesting and exciting about what you're doing is that in Denmark, you're kind of looking at the sport as a whole and thinking about where that goes. You haven't mentioned individual clubs too much. You've mentioned a few times, but you're looking at the whole for the sport in the country and how that develops, and that's what I feel we need more of, and actually what I don't know whether this would work, but brought in comparisons with other sports. You mentioned ice hockey. Now, I mean, I'm in Nottingham now. Nottingham's a big ice hockey city. Really big fan base and a very big family sport, despite the fact that it's fast action and they punch each other, but it's still a big family sport. And what strikes me is that in America you have the franchise models, you have a draft for the players, and they have a fair kind of distribution really to keep the leagues competitive. And I'm not saying this is the answer, but I wonder whether we should be looking more at a managed kind of, not a franchise model, but almost a managed way of having a pool of riders, teams who are all supported by the one organization, the mothership, if you like, who looks after the sport, who's promoting the sport. But actually there's a bit of a package, a bit like Discovery Plus are doing with the GP. But at domestic level, not just the GP.
I think the key thing is that we need, first of all, we need to reach this state of like critical mass. We need the league clubs, at least in Denmark. We need the economy in each club to be strong enough so that they can hire like a CEO. Like then we need a paid manager, because then he can start. Then he can start. Right after he had his morning coffee, he can start imagining. Listen, how can I improve this league club today? How it is today is that people they do their jobs and they do their families, and then at 7-8 o'clock in the evening they think, now I need to start thinking of Speedway. And you're extremely exhausted at that point. At that point, especially if you have small kids, you collapse at 8 o'clock with your kids, more or less, right? So we need what we are trying to do is to reach some kind of critical mass, so we can hire professional people to make it even more professional. But that's really hard to get there, right?
It is. But you know what they say: if you're going to walk 1,000 miles, you've got to take one step at a time.
Like your former PM said, if you are walking through fire, keep walking.
Yes, keep going.
among other great things, she said. Not a word about your present PM. Let's not go into that. It'll be
no, we're not going there.
No,
another 10 hours.
he can walk through fire, no problems.
Yeah,
he can indeed.
I'm in Scotland, so I've got Nicola Sturgeon. So.
Yeah, you're okay. Just before we round up, I guess it'd be nice to know, really, Joachim, more about it sounds interesting, the drama series and the work you're doing. And are you now at the point where you have a projected kind of release date? Are you that far, or
not yet?
When might we see this?
We've been shooting a lot. We've been shooting with Bewley and with Woofenden and with Smart Slick and with Anders Thomsen and with Nicky Petersen, because the Danes were the one we could access during the pandemic. But not yet. We were hoping next spring, but it looks a little bit hard to reach. But we have some of the financing is good. We need more, because we need to. It's documentary basically. So every time we can edit one hour, we have to shoot 30 hours. So there's a lot of material to be wasted to get access to. And again, while we are shooting, we are getting closer to what is we need like a universal angle of it. Of course it's about Speedway, but it's also about what is it that Speedway does to people. This Fight Club thing we talked about, which is really interesting.
Well, as we said earlier, you could do worse than maybe taking a couple of days out to get to the Isle of Wight, where they put on the big spectacular. So you've got the standard meetings.
I saw some clips the other day. It's amazing, right?
It is absolutely fabulous. But it's a different viewpoint of Speedway. Yeah. They're looking at it a different way. So you've got the GP level, you've got your standard level, you've got Isle of Wight, which is kind of off to the side, and the junior Speedway and the junior Speedway schools are starting to roll again in the UK.
Yeah, nice.
And I know that Martin Smolinski is doing similar in Germany.
Yeah.
He's trying to encourage the young training schools.
And then I don't know if you know, there's a guy in Denmark called Mikkel Ries. He used to be a designer at Yamaha motorcycles in Japan. He's very much into electrifying Speedway, because his kind of reasoning is that there's so much trouble, not in Poland but in Denmark, at least in Sweden too, with noise. The number of hours where you can get the permission to race, they are very limited. electrifying could definitely solve that. Another thing is, you know, the cost for the motorbikes, the maintenance cost, it's keeping a lot of people away from the sports too. Then, of course, older romantic people like us, we like the smell, we like the insane noise and sound. But when this guy Mikkel is testing the electric speedway bikes with the young people, you know, they are used to going on holidays in electrical cars. They have electrical bikes. So the young people, you know, 20, 12, 14 years, they don't care at all. Whether it's electric or with a combustion engine, to them it's not a big deal. That's another discussion, but I think that's something that we for sure will. I mean, one day you could imagine that fossil fuels would be banned. You know, and we need to have an answer to that at some point.
But you can put in artificial noise and artificial.
You could, which could be nice.
Because they've had to do that with over here with the electric cars.
Yeah.
They actually add the noise for safety reasons so that people can hear them coming.
Well, I watch Formula E, so I don't know if anybody watches any of that, but you know, electric version of F1, I suppose.
Yeah.
And actually, I don't think about the noise, but I would for Speedway. I would definitely miss it for Speedway. Yeah. But and it's more competitive. It's more standard in terms of the setups, the drivetrain. There's not so many things that you can vary. And actually, it's a much more competitive series than F1. But actually what's really interesting is it's a bit like Discovery Plus in that it's very, very branded, and it's very much led by the visionary who's created it. And so the pits are the same, a bit like the Speedway now, the Grand Prix. The pits are the same. You just lift and shift it and drive to the next venue. Exactly. And it all looks the same wherever you are, whatever country. It's fascinating.
Yeah, and you know, a lot of good things are happening for sure. And you know, 20 years ago, a lot of people predicted that Speedway would die too. You know, what we can just tell them once again is that no, it will never die. It's too lovely, you know, it's too cool. So obviously it will never die. Forget about it.
so on that note, Joachim, I'm going to end you on that. I'm going to end your interview on that note. It will never die, but it takes lots of, as almost as Lynn said there, we all need to chip away, don't we, all in our different ways to try and keep the profile up, to keep the interest up, and to pass that on to the younger guys who are the next generation, so that when they've got so many things they can be distracted by, this really appeals. And it sounds like you're hopeful though.
I am. And if all these poor kids, you know, with overprotective, especially moms, sorry for saying that, we just have to tell them, listen, if your mom is driving you insane, then come to a speedway club. We have paradise for you waiting.
Well, ironically, I've got grandchildren, and it was initially just one, but now both my granddaughters want to ride speedway, but my grandson's not interested. He'll watch it, but my granddaughters want to ride it.
Perfect.
One's 3 and one's 14.
Yeah. And listen, how it went in our family is that both our sons, they are now 12 and 15, they wanted to race. But my wife said, no, you cannot do it. It's far too dangerous. And see how weak I am. I didn't even make a point there.
Right. I'm going to say thanks to you, Joachim. I think it's fascinating. I think maybe what we could do is in a future date, perhaps closer to the time of the film or the series coming out, maybe we could talk again and see, you know, the more progress when you've had more time in your role with the league.
Happily.
And catch up again and see, you know, see what's happened, what's changed.
Yeah. Well, it's a pleasure talking to you.
Excellent. Yes. Well, the time flies when you're having fun, doesn't it?
Yeah.